Hey guys, how's it going and thanks for coming. I'm Nick, and in this video we're going over how being frugal was able to save me thousands of dollars. So being frugal and having saving money tips can add up. But what we're going to talk about in this video is the big numbers. Now it's great to save a few bucks over here and a few dollars over there, but, and this is a big but, we should really be focusing on the big ticket items, big purchases, and big money saving things instead of just looking at pennies. Which is why I got 10 situations that I was able to save up to 6 figures before the age of 25. So I have a bunch of frugal videos. I love talking about this, so let's start off with number 1. Now I'm going to put this first because I got to put it out there first and foremost. I think it's very important. I went to an in-state public college. So this is for all the people thinking of going to college, thinking of what situation fits them best, especially financially. And if you're thinking out of state, especially private, you're going to be paying like triple. That's not an over-exaggeration. You're going to be paying triple the cost than an in-state public college. Now, unless you're going for like a serious profession like a doctor or a lawyer, then yeah, it does kind of depend. Make sure you got your good grades. Make sure you're going to a good college, because that is very important to where you apply to and work for. However, for the majority of people, most degrees are all the same. It doesn't really matter which college you go to, as long as you have the degree. Most likely, depending on the job, if it's a normal job, they'll accept it. And it never really made sense to me of like going out of state anyway. So for example, I'm in New York. Let's say I'll always live in New York. Might not be the case. Like if I'm going to be living in New York, why would I like go to college in Florida? It's a completely different environment. Like if you want to have fun, I understand that, but you're going to be paying an extra $10,000, let's say, a year. If you want to have fun, that's a lot of money. You know what you could do with $10,000? I could go off on that, don't worry. But number 2, I could go off on a lot of these. Number 2 would be I always bought a used car. You probably knew it was coming. Just new cars are at such a premium, and we don't even have to worry about that. As soon as you drive it off the lot, it drops like, I forgot the amount, but like 10-20% automatically, and then each year is just dropping. Now, it does slow down maybe after a few years, but why should you pay $40,000 for a car that's going to be worth $30,000 like next year? Especially if you're going to be keeping it and driving it for a long time. Buy a used one. It is cheaper and it still does what it's supposed to do. Point A to point B. And yes, I will also say this includes leasing. Personally, I don't like it because it screws up my cash flow. You can fight me on it. You can try. Yeah, there are certain situations that might be better, maybe if you own a business and everything like that, but in most situations, people are spending $500 a month on a car. Except this guy. Moving on to number 3 is subscribing to this channel, of course. Yes, I subscribe to myself. Actually, I don't think I legally can. But since we're here anyway, and if you like videos like this, go ahead and subscribe. But the real number 3 is, while I was being frugal and stacking up that money, I was able to then invest that versus saving it. So I'd say like the first step is being frugal so you could actually save that money, but then the next step is, what do you do afterwards? And I think that's what really, I don't think that's what happened. It really accelerated my net worth at the end of the day, is when, it's great to have money on the side, but when it's working for you, it grows even faster. So if we're thinking of the future, it's not only like $20 or $100 now. We're talking, maybe in a few years, it could be a few $100 or $1,000 if you wait long enough. And during that time, I was very dedicated to it. Every single month, just investing in the stock market or investing in some type of asset to then grow my money for me. Pro tip, setting up automatic transfers from your account to your investing account or retirement account or whatever account you have set up. Don't even have to think about it, because we all forget about things. I would have forgot about it. And also, so you're not emotional. So you just set that up, don't worry about it, and it just always happens no matter how you're feeling. Because we all get irrational sometimes. Number 4 situation of how I was very frugal, less now, but back then I never bought this stuff, is, well, you have to survive, but food and clothes. I was definitely not, I was working a lot of the time, so I really didn't even need clothes to like go out or anything, because I didn't go out or anything. And it did help that I worked in a fast food place, so I didn't have to spend money for lunch, but it wasn't really healthy. However, I was able to save a lot of money doing this. So if people are just constantly thinking about what to eat next or what new clothes should we get, when you start taking away from what should you buy to how could you save, then you end up saving a lot more. And camera change for this next one, because I think it's very important and I am proud of myself for doing this. But for number 5, we're on number 5, right? Number 5 is saving my raises. So when people get more, like if they get a raise at a job or if they leave a job and get another job making more, they usually end up spending that. In my situation, I actually didn't really change my lifestyle whatsoever, and whatever extra money I ended up making, you just save that. And then going back to the other one, you're not only saving it, but you could also invest it to grow it faster. Pro tip for saving versus investing: if you're thinking of like short-term things, if you need money in the short term, maybe within a year or two, you probably shouldn't invest that money, because if it drops, then you don't have that. So if you're only thinking long term, that's what you would invest. That's how I play the game. And this is really a mindset, and I love this, because if you were living on a paycheck that was lower, let's say at the first job we're talking about, and you've been living, that means you could survive. So if you get a raise, you could survive on that other job. So now with the next job, you're able to save that money. If it's an extra 10 grand, guess where that should go? In your pocket. Now, how I was being frugal, number 6, is I was always debt-free. And some people might say that's frugal to like not spend extra on, let's say, like a credit card or anything. I call that living within our means, which we should all do. So I never had debt. I didn't have to pay any extra interest or fees or anything like that. The only debt I ever had was actually a car loan. When I was, I forgot what I was, maybe like 18, 19 or something like that. I had it because I thought it could help build my credit, and I put half down, so I'm like, alright, that could help a little bit. I had that for maybe a year, then I hated paying someone every month, so then I just paid it off. But obviously debt-free is great, you're living within your means, but you're not paying anyone interest or anything like that, but it's also just freedom. You don't owe anyone anything. If you want to do something, you can, because you have the money saved up, because you've planned and you're not just living every second. You know, we have to think a little bit further than a second into the future. We should plan a day, a week, a month, or even years. And when you start expanding your time horizon, the better you could plan, the better your life can be. Now, number 7, I think, is a very important mindset to have. Now, a lot of people think of frugal being like saving your money, which is great. You know, that's what we're talking about and that's what we're doing. However, the other side of things, which some people don't think of, is how we use our time. And I love this idea of look at what you do in your spare time. That's essentially who you are. If you're like shopping for clothes all the time, then you're a shopper. If you're out to sporting events, then you're like a sports guy. I don't know. But if you're always thinking about, all right, when I get my money, how am I going to spend it? You're never, ever going to get ahead, because you're always going to be spending whatever you're getting. So when you start organizing and setting up your mind in, all right, when I get that money, how could I then use that to grow it? It's a completely different mindset. That's why the rich get richer, because they end up using that money for something else. And they have to be borderline obsessed with that, because every single dollar is a resource to you. So if you're just automatically spending that, you're never going to get ahead. Now, when you're planning on exactly what you want to do, then that's how you could grow your net worth. Be careful with this because time is very valuable. We only have a certain amount of it, especially every single day. We have 24 hours. How do you use them? Which would then entail number 8, which saved me a ton of money because I don't spend a ton of money because I'm not materialistic. Obviously, if you're watching this video, chances are you're not really materialistic. Maybe with some things. You know, I'm not saying to not buy anything whatsoever, unless you're a minimalist and just have a couch and that's it. Heck, you might not even have pillows on the couch. But once you realize that buying things doesn't make you happy, that's it. You know, then you start thinking of other things. So it's like, all right, if that's not going to work, what will? Number 9, which helped my frugality, if that's the word, but this is for me personally, but I was very introverted. So I was very just focused on school and work, and that's essentially it. I didn't do much else, and I really just focused on growing myself. Now, that could be a good and bad thing. We do have to grow ourselves socially as well. Unfortunately, we're human beings, and we need human interaction and communication, and to learn all that, and to grow our social network. And I was definitely isolated in that situation. However, I'm kind of glad I did that because, one, I actually ended up learning who I was. And during that process, I did save a lot of money. So, because of doing that, I wouldn't say it was a bad thing completely because it helped set me up for a pretty good life. You know, if you're going out all the time, if you're doing anything all the time, every single little thing costs money. So when people don't think of money at all, I don't think you could really trust them because, you know, if they don't think money's important, money is everywhere. I'm not saying it's the only thing to think or worry about, but everything. Like, you have to pay for rent, you got to pay for your car, you got to pay for gas to drive your car, you need to eat. You know, all these are necessities and they require money. And I do think spending more time with yourself, you could actually learn a lot of things. People don't like learning about themselves. They're scared of that. But I think once we understand more of who we are, that could help our life tremendously. Heck, look at me now. I have a YouTube channel because I'm actually confident in what I'm saying. Now, number 10, guys. I think these are all important. However, number 10, I think really sets us apart from who's serious and who just wants to save a few bucks every here and then. Number 10 is really about delaying your gratification. So you might have the $100 or you might have the $1,000 to enjoy it. If you want to buy something, you could go ahead and buy it. Or if you want to take a quick vacation, you could go ahead and enjoy it. Here's the thing. Everyone does that though. I don't want to say no one, but very little amount of people out there actually push that off so they could actually benefit their future selves. Everyone is living in the present. Not to say that's bad. We actually do have to enjoy who we are now, where we are now, and what's going on, so we could actually enjoy it. However, if all you do is live in the present, then you will never have anything for the future. So do yourself a favor, when you delay gratification, yes, you're actually saying no to enjoyment currently. However, one day, your future self will look back and tell you that you did a good job because you actually thought ahead and you planned. And it might take a long time to get there. It could take years, it could take decades, but I could assure you, one day, you're going to thank yourself for being frugal for whatever reason. So you could buy that house you wanted. So you could go on a vacation you always wanted. There are bigger things out there. Unfortunately, we might have to wait around for them. However, we could definitely do that. And to throw this extra little golden tip in there, little golden nuggets, is since you're delaying that gratification, so you're waiting so your future self would be more happy, what happens with your present self? Well, your present self could actually practice contentment and being happy with what you have right now. Think about that a little bit. I think it's very interesting. So if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, please leave them down below. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. What are some frugal tips that helped you save huge amounts of money? Not a few pennies, but I'm talking hundreds, if not thousands, or tens of thousands of dollars of being frugal. So thank you so much for watching, guys. Really appreciate it. And I'll see ya in the next one.